So the way this is going to go, I'll introduce you to Phyllis. We'll do the fireside chat. After the talk is over, we've got the opportunity to network when we've ended the webinar. And our calls are every Friday at 10. I hope you continue to join us as we share the journey. Okay, so Phyllis Newhouse, thank you so much for being here. I'm thrilled to death.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, glad to have you. So Phyllis is a world-leading entrepreneur. She's a retired Army officer, a mother. She's also a mentor to women, veterans in the Black community. She's the founder of Extreme Solutions, which is a pioneer in cybersecurity. And she was the very first woman to ever be named by EY as Women of the Year in the technology category. She also founded Shoulder Up with actress Viola Davis. And that organization, I'm sure she'll be talking about it, connects and supports women on their entrepreneurial journey. She was also named as the Enterprising Women's Magazine Woman of the Year. And she has been the Women Presidents Organization, one of the 50 fastest growing women-led businesses. I thought it was in the world. You had it in the US, but it's huge. She's one of the leading business owners in the world. And she's done that for 7 years in a row. So congratulations, that's amazing.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. So you're one of the most successful women in the world by all measures. And as a former military officer and exceptional entrepreneur, you're a terrific success. Our country is hurting right now. Given your background, your highly successful career, I think you're in a unique position to give us some valuable input on how to help this country heal. At Purse Power, we're wanting to be positive, constructive, and effective. We want to unite all women. We don't want to divide women in any way, and everyone is welcome here. So one of the most effective ways to have a constructive and uplifting conversation is to talk about what you want and what we want for the nation as women. To start, would you please tell us your story? Where did you start, and how did you arrive at this place in your life and career?
Wow. Gosh, is this a 2-day webinar? No, you know, I have to tell you, I'm so grateful to God because I have a journey, you know, that is probably a lot different than what most people would expect. Because they like to, sometimes you look at success and you say, wow, you know, to be this and to be that and to be this, you know, you had, you know, that journey was not easy. I would tell you it was not easy. And so I come from a family of 11 children. I was number 10, 7 girls, 4 boys. Do the math. My mother raised 7 of her siblings as well, all of us. So when you come from a family of about 23 people and you already know how to lead, right? So people in my family always say we were all born to lead. Because there was something in that home you were leading at all times, right? And so I growing up with you know, my mom was really like the first CEO to me, for somebody to manage a household of 23 people at the age, and believe it or not, she did this by the age of 32. She had all her children before at the age of 32. My brother was the last one, and so I just had a phenomenal role model. Now remember, my mother is 89 today, and as of today, she's 89. But wow. My mother has also gone through different iterations of life and cycles of life of how the world operates. And so I've had a chance to see coming out of the civil rights movement, you know, how she was instilled empowered to lead her family through that, how, you know, going through all of where we are to even where we are today, how she still continues to lead her family through that. And so for me, you know, having 11 siblings, having sisters who had served in the military before, saw what the life was and how they were role models, I took something away from every single sibling that I had, and it became part of me to who I am today, to include my mother and my father. So I look at my journey and saying it was a collaborative effort to make this person. Who I am today was made up of so many people, you know, dropping a seed here and there into my life and making me become the person that I am today. And so when I went in the military, I had a sister who was in the Air Force, and I was young, and she said, hey, come visit me. I want you to see what the Air Force is like. And in the moment that I stepped on the Air Force Base and I saw those women in uniform and I saw how sharp they were and I saw that, oh my gosh, she's a pilot, she does this, she's that. I was forever changed of how I viewed what women could do.
Wow.
And I saw that women were managing their households and their careers and all of that. So I took that and I went back and I said, this is what I want to do. So when I went into the military, I also had great female leaders, to include some males, that empowered me to continue to climb the ladder to become the senior officer that I did become. And so I knew that I also had a deeper responsibility through my career to bring others through that as well. So my journey was coming from a strong foundation of having a strong family, to the military, having a strong network, to coming out of the military, to becoming an entrepreneur, and still surrounding myself with those same type and that same ecosystem of people.
Wow. Wow. Are there any challenges that you've overcome that stand out to you?
Yeah, you know what? I talked about this morning on the call, a call that I do, Leadership Inspiration Talk. I talked about, people said, did you in 20-something years experience racism? I like nobody's business. Are you kidding me? I came in the military in the tail end of the 70s, 78. And at the time, hell, women had very little rights in the military. That they said you had rights, but we didn't fully exercise those rights. And so African Americans were on that about the same. And so, you know, I came in the military, I thought you go and you serve one country, but when I got out, it was actually not the same. And so the challenges that I faced in the military was, how do you overcome it, adapt to the culture, but not adhere to the culture? There's a difference. You know this culture exists. You know that there are people who say, wow, you know, I didn't know there was a Black command sergeant major. I didn't know she was I didn't know she was Black. You know, I had that so many times. And Donna, believe it or not, to this day, I still get that. Even you know, as recent as someone saying, she's Black? I didn't know she was Black. And they didn't know that the call had ended, but I was still on the call. Oh my God, I thought, and this is so funny, the person who said it, I said, oh my God, guys, I said, I'm still connected with you guys. But just for the record, before we hang up, I'm going to be Black again tomorrow. So, you know, so you kind of got to know how to roll with it. But then too, know that that's not the world. That is just some cultures, right? And so that, to me, I've dealt with that in a military career. I've dealt with that, you know, coming out of the military, and even still to today. So it is how you choose to see it, and how you choose to make corrective actions to the people who need to be you know, corrected at that moment.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit, in terms of how you want people to respond and what you want people to do. Can you tell me some of the key crossroads in your life that made you who you are, and why were they important, and how did they influence your life?
Yeah, I would say one of them, Donna, was when I made a decision to get out of the military. And I was 27 years old, and I made a decision that I was going to get out and I was going to go do something else. I'm 27, I'm so young. And then this was my thought process, right? You know, you still think you're young. And I was torn with that idea. And for whatever reason, you know, I really had, at that point, I had a very successful career. And that was one of the moments where I thought, well, okay, I'll just get out. And I think I shared this with you. I had a dream, I fell asleep and I woke up and I didn't know if it was real or not. And in that dream, I had died. And something said, you know, when I died, I went to heaven, and I get there and God says to me, you know, tell me what you've done. And I started to pat myself on the back, and I was just, I've done this. And he says, listen, he says, I gave you 100% of life potential, and you have only exercised 30% of that. Go back and live your fullest life potential and your full leadership potential, and then you come back to me. And for that moment, that changed my life. That 27 years old, I made a decision to retire and do another 10 or actually 12 years in the military. And it was a very, but I made the decision that I did not want to be a good leader in the military, that I was going to be a great leader. There is a very big difference. And
Yeah.
it is really based off of potential. Where are you on the potential meter? Are you low or are you high? Great leaders are here, and good leaders are here. And I made a decision at 27, I wanted to be a great leader. And so that was an impactful moment. And another moment was the moment that I won the Entrepreneur of the Year. 31 years. EY has had Entrepreneur of the Year in 31 years. No woman had ever made the top 10, and certainly no person of color had made it, the stage.
Wow.
And so in 2017, I went up against every big boy you could think of, all the big boys. And it was a moment in history that I didn't know, that had never been a woman to ever win. And that night that I won, and people started, they said, we were going to turn the tables over. We were so happy. Everybody was happy to see history. And that was a turning point, because when I walked to that stage, it was something in me that said, you must give credit where credit is due. And I asked all of the women in the audience to stand with me. I said, I refuse to accept this award unless you are standing with me, because I cannot accept your award on my behalf. I cannot and will not. And I had all the women entrepreneurs in that room stand. And then I said, all of the veterans that's in this room, you must stand, because I said, this is the first time a veteran has ever won an award, the Entrepreneur of the Year. And then I had the people of color stand. And I said,
wow.
I stand here. So as you can imagine what that room looked like, I said, this is our award. We won this. So that was a turning point for me. And I realized at that moment, Donna, that I had a platform, and that it was so critical that I recognized what it was and what would be the purpose, and how do we advance this platform that it impacts and does good for all.
Yeah. Very powerful, very powerful. Well, you told me about this idea of potential, and really that your job in life is to optimize that potential. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I know that you do a lot of teaching with women about this as well, right?
Yeah. So, that 27-year-old me, as I told you about the dream I had, and then I realized the potential. If you think about someone you're standing in line and it says, here, Donna, here's your 100% of life potential, go live it. And Donna goes out there and she only lives about 30% of her potential. And so, but that life potential is full of other stuff, leadership potential, earning potential, and all of your potential is tied up in your life potential. But how can you really maximize your earning potential when you only live in your 30% of your full life potential? You cannot. It does not work. How do you become one of the great leaders versus a good leader if your life potential is low? Because when you're operating off low life potential, I don't know if I can go back to school. I don't know if I can do good in that course. I've never been good at math. Oh, I can't learn to do this. Oh, they'll say no. Oh, there are no women in that organization. Oh, there's no people of color in that organization. Oh, you see, you begin to minimize your life potential by putting roadblocks there that you can't seem to overcome. I believe that in life, we get resources, opportunities, and connections all the time. It is what you decide to use will increase your level of potential. You see, when I left and I left the military, right? People said, why in the world would you get out? You are at the fullest potential. You are at your full life potential. You have the potential to be the next command sergeant major of the Army, the first female that they ever had, right? And so, but I knew that my impact was going to be greater getting out of the military, because I was going to use that 22 years to build this other thing where the platform was bigger. So you have to kind of know where you are on your leg of the journey to know where you are with your potential, right? Because sometimes you can get lost in the journey, like, where the hell am I? Am I on right street or left street? I don't know. But you got to figure that out, because you get lost and your life potential drops. And then 5 years go by and you're still on left street, and you should have been on right 3 years ago. And then what happens is that you're playing catch up. So I think that when I talk to leaders, and this is one question, Donna, I always ask every leader, and I'm challenging all the folks that are listening right now to ask yourself this question. If I had to measure my full life potential between, and my God-given potential is 100%, he gave you 100%, what have you used up? What have you used? And let's say you say, I'm at 40% of my life potential. What if you tapped into 10% within the next 90 days? What would your life look like? No, because guess what? Your earning potential could change. Your leadership potential could change. Your impact could change.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, your power could change. You tapped into something that you weren't aware because you didn't reach for it. You see, every day, this is Phyllis. While you're sitting here at 30%, Donna, Phyllis said, oh my God, I operated at 75 yesterday. I'm going to grab me 5 more percent today. And then I'm here. And then I said, well, you know what? I'm at 80%. I'm full of power. And I'm taking that power and I'm just pounding the pavement. And before you know it, I'm making the impact because my potential is driving me. I'm not driving potential, it's driving me every day. And when your potential drives you every day, you have the passion. People know what you know because your potential says she knows what she knows because she's driven by that. And I say this because my son said to me yesterday, he said, Mom, he says, I need to maximize some more of my potential. I'm not operating as high as I said, you go, boy. I said, tell me what you're going to do. He says, I'm going to tap into my opportunities that I haven't tapped into in a long time. I've let them sit on the shelf too long. I know they're there. I'm too lazy to go after the opportunity because it requires something of me. That came from a 23-year-old yesterday who's been following me and not on Twitter.
Well, what you're saying is inspiring. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this?
Because it requires something of you. It's commitment. Mm-hmm. If you don't have internal commitments that you make to yourself, you know what? I'm going to get off my butt today. And you know what? I'm going to write this strategy. I'm going to write this plan. I'm going to follow through with this plan. You see, it's one thing to write it, but will you follow through with it? It's one thing to say you're going to start it, but will you follow up with it? You see, there's layers to potential. Mm-hmm. Potential doesn't just happen. You know what? To be great, you have to work at it. You do. If you want to be a great leader stands in front of a town hall meeting and takes the darts that are flying at them and they say, wow, that one hurt. But here's what I want to do. I want to pull this dart out of me and I want to start over. How do I fix it? That's the difference between a great leader and a good leader. A great leader knows that they have the potential to lead from the beginning. You see, they're not going to run and hide and when the stuff gets tough. A great leader is always seeking improvement. How do I improve? Because I want to be, that's the potential. I know I can be a great leader. I have it in me. I have the resources. I have the opportunities. I have the connections. What's stopping me from being a great leader? Me.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Our own stories get in our way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Okay. So from your perspective, we're at a really critical time right now. And I think you've got some great insight to share about how we might heal this country and try to get it on the right path. If we were to get the country on the right path around all of the angst that we are experiencing right now in our world, what do you think that vision looks like? What's it going to take for us to get there? What's the vision? Okay. What would it take for us to get there?
Wow, I'm ready for this one.
All right.
And you know what? I want you to envision this. And this is everybody. Think about this. Just think about a marathon ran by a group of people. Not one person will finish the 26 miles. 26 miles, if you've ever done a marathon, you have to train for that marathon. You have to be mentally prepared. You just don't go out and run it. And very few people can win a race like that, right? So think of a marathon ran by multiple people have to run this marathon. But in order to complete this race, there's a baton we have to keep passing to each other, right? In order to solidify that the next leg of the race is going to be ran the right way based off of everything that baton represents. It's a changing of the guard. It's the changing of leadership. It's the changing of that. And I envision where we are today. It is that we have been running the race and no one's passing the baton. No one's educating the next runner. and saying, and then here are the runners running with broke legs because they just want to keep running and they don't want to move out of the way and let somebody else take over when they ran their leg of the race. And you can take any demographic of folks, and it applies to any group, whether it's the African American culture, whether it's women, whether it's organizations, whether it's politics. Get out of the way. And what I mean by that is like, I believe in order for our country to advance, we've got to let them lead now, not with our future. They are the future. We are no longer the future. We're trying to prep someone who's telling us, I don't need your permission to run my leg of the race. I'm not asking you. I don't want you running my leg. Move. And now what they're doing is that they are not even waiting for the baton anymore because you won't let it go. You've got it glued in your hand. They can't even get it out of your hand. It's like this. I want to teach you something before I pass my baton. They know it. They're tired of being coached. They're tired of being advised. They're tired of being mentored. Some of our young leaders right now can lead. All we need to do is support. Build the support around the future. That's what we need right now. Let's build support around the future. The future is here. If you don't think so, look out on any television network around 7 o'clock at night. They're lining the streets. That's the future. And those of us that's sitting home with a critical eye are missing the boat. If you have women entrepreneurs in your circle, pass the baton to them. Why are you waiting till you get to this level and this level and this level? And we set so many rules, and we put these rules. You're not ready. You're not ready for this until this happened, And guess what? And they're saying, you know what? I'm not going to wait on Donna and Phyllis. They're never leaving. They're never moving. They're going to die in that chair. I'm going to go create my own chair. And guess what? Here, I don't need rules. Those old rules, those old 75 years of rules and of engagement. I'm going to do my own thing. And until we realize we have a generation that does not need permission to lead. They do not need our permission. And we need to get off this kick that when I give you permission to go run this leg of the race, now here's how you're going to run it. Here's how I've done it. That does not work. And that is why we are in such chaos right now. If we want to remove ourselves from the chaos, the turmoil, it is that we need to give up the baton. And even if you don't want to give it, let them run this leg of the race. Let them run it. Mm-hmm. Let them run it. Some of them have trained for this. Some of them have the endurance. They have the knowledge. They have everything. There's a new set of tools you can run a race with. We're trying to run off the old way of doing business. And they're saying, oh, I can run this race with my eyes closed. Here's a new tool set that I have to run it. Let them run the race the way they see it. Because we are still looking at things from a different set of lenses that they don't see this that way. That is why you think about this, Donna, and my friends out here listening, think about this. They took the baton right out of our hand. They snatched it and said, we're going to lead our own march. We're going to rise up in America. We're going to rise up around the world, and we don't need your permission to do it. You've been sitting here telling us how to do business for so long. This is the new way of doing business. Change is going to happen because we're demanding it. We don't need your permission to change the world. We're changing it, period.
Oh, very interesting. I've got 3 20-year-olds in my house. I can see what you're saying. They've got a whole new way of doing things. How can we, as women and women business leaders, you said support them. What else can we do besides get out of the way? What are you talking about in terms of support?
Yeah. So let me share something with you. We need to change our language. Here's some language. I want to share something with you. I'm going to say, Donna, listen. Here's what I want you to do. And Donna comes up, says, Phyllis, could you help me do this? You know what? Think about this. You come to me and you ask me for help. I'm going to say, give me the list of things you want me to do. 1, 2, 3. Okay, done. I check out. I'm done. But if I come to you and I say, hey, Donna, here's what I need. I need your support on something. What does that mean? That means I'm rolling up my sleeves and I'm jumping in that foxhole with you. I'm down with it. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to lend my support, and my support can be coaching, mentoring, and advising. you can't do the same thing to everyone. And at a different point of when I look at entrepreneurs, I have some entrepreneurs that come to me and she says, Phyllis, I don't want to be coached. I'm looking for more you in an advisory road. I know how to, play the game. I just need advice on how to strategize with the game. You understand? And then one of them told me, she says, don't mentor me. I right now, I need a little coaching because I'm a little rusty when I want to go in there and tell Jim that, you know what, Jim, I'm not. But she said, I need to be coached on how to deal with Jim. Don't mentor me. You see, we have to know as women, what we need and what they need are two different things. Be careful how you support, because when we start trying to help and support, is different. They can help themselves. I can help myself. Don't help me. I need your support. Support me. Support says, this is a sisterhood. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm down with you. I'm going to march right in that room. And I'm going to give you a quick example of what I mean so that it's real clear. You call me up and you say, Phyllis, listen, I have someone I'd like to introduce you to, and her name is Betty. And Betty is sharp, and this is the reason I think you and Betty need to be connected, is for this reason. So here's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to broker a call, and I'm going to get you and Betty on the call, and I'm going to state some clear objectives on why I think the two of you should be connected. And then what happens is that you follow up with Phyllis in a week, and you say, Phyllis, how's it going with Betty? Well, Betty hasn't returned my call. Well, listen, Phyllis, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get on the phone and find out if there's a disconnect why Betty hasn't called you. Let me make sure that we're moving this train forward. You see, it's very different than you texting me a phone number and say, hey, here's Betty contact info, and then you drop. That's help. All you did, you didn't support me. You helped me. That's different. Help is like you're clear of what those needs are. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and I know that sometimes women don't always ask for what they need specifically, right?
Well, then give them support.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm calling you up today. How do I support you today? But if you call and ask me, how can I help you today? I'm not even going to answer the question. I don't even answer it. I say, no, you can't help me. And they say, oh, well, I can't help you. No, but you can support me. Here are the things that I need support around.
How about the changes going on in our society right now around the racial discussion and discrimination and all of those kinds of things? What kinds of things can we be doing as women business owners and business leaders to support maybe African Americans in this country or people of color in this country?
Here's, and actually, Dawn, this is a great question, because I've been on so many calls this week about this. And I said, I kind of just laid it out on my last two calls about this, is that it's almost like, if you, until you can help your next door neighbor, you have to go look in your own house first and say, where have I missed the boat? Where have I changed? How do I support my next door neighbor if I'm not willing to look and see where I need to change? I said this the other night. I can look around my dinner table at any given Sunday, and it represents the world. That's in my own home. And when I know my home is clean, I can go out and fellowship with my neighbors because my house looks like this. I ask business owners, challenge yourself in your own organization. Have you looked in your own house and asked the tough questions to, when you look in your boardroom, do they all look like you? Well, if they look like you, how are you out trying to help somebody else look different when you don't even look different? And that's called, I'm saying, before we can begin to heal the nation, we have to heal our own organizations, our own families, our own communities first. And we have to heal ourselves first. Because I have to take a look and say, I'm not willing to ask and go out and do something that I'm not doing in my own house first, right? And that is really, to me, is that do your own temperature check. Do your own temperature check before you check somebody else's temperature. And that is where we are. Because I think organizations who are doing that, and they are now seeing, wow, we can't make an impact outside until we do it inside. And then we can now use this model to go out and coach others on, this is how we did it. We looked internally first, and then we went out. And so I think most, if you're not speaking for the entire Black community, but as I've talked to African-American leaders and business leaders, they've said, our counterparts want to now help us. Why don't they fix their own organizations and go in and look at, they don't even have any African-Americans on their board. They don't even have any African-Americans in their C-suite, but yet they say they want to come out and, how can we help? Help us by fixing it in your own organization.
Yeah, yeah, right. Makes perfect sense. Okay, all right, very good. So could you just be really specific about the top 3 actions you'd like us to take after this call?
Yeah. So here, number 1, I'd say internalize the chaos. I'd say take a look at what you can do internally, and then take those same things that you do to make change internally, and now you can go and execute those things outside externally, right? Mm-hmm. And I say that because that's really real. That's not something that's just, oh, well, I'm going to do it. No, really take that assessment and say, you know what? Let me take a look at my own organization first and see where we can improve. And then we're going to take those same principles and now start sharing it with other organizations on what we're doing, right? Because that's a collaborative. That's how communities change. Everybody coming together, sharing. Nobody wants you at the table if you've done nothing, but you want to come and give advice, but you ain't even no. So the second thing I'm going to say, find those young entrepreneurs, young people in the community, young aspiring leaders, and work with them today and help them start leading today, not tomorrow. Don't give them timelines for 10 years from now when you move out of the way. Who can you empower today that wants to lead now, that wants to step up now? That's the call to action. And then the third thing I'm going to say is be consistent with being consistent. Because don't do this week and next week and say, okay, we're going to start this new initiative of our company. We're going to be collaborative. We're going to, and then next month, nobody's even talking about it. You as a leader, be responsible as a leader. If you have a platform, Donna, you have a huge platform right now, right? I have a big platform. We have to be responsible leaders with the platforms that we have been given. Be responsible. No matter how big your platform is, how responsible will you be to the calling of this nation right now? Mm-hmm. You. Mm-hmm. Ask yourself that question. What am I doing as a leader that's empowering this nation to change? You got to answer that question.
Love it. Love it. Wonderful answer. Okay. All right. Just on another topic, what are some of the most important things you've learned as a senior leader, entrepreneur, veteran, officer, person of color, your life learnings that you want to share?
You know what? I've learned, so Viola Davis and I have this thing about, packing a suitcase and going on a trip. And we call it going to the land of legacy. So if I'm going to go to the land of legacy and put my flag at the top and say, Phyllis was here, here's my legacy. And I want all the women to be able to see that flag. See, right now, we don't know where the flag is. Where is the flag, Donna? Who left it?
Yeah, it's dispersed.
Well, yes. Where's the flag? Nobody can find the damn flag. Right. So if we're looking for the damn flag, and somebody's planted it on some mountaintop, how the hell we get there? Who knows the way? Who has the roadmap? What does the GPS tell us about where the damn flag is? I'm looking for the flag, right? So Viola Davis and I say, on the land of legacy, we're going to take the flag and plant it where every woman can see it. And now everybody has somewhere they're marching to. Where the hell we're going? What's the agenda? What road do you take? How do you get there? How long is it going to take us to get there? So here's what I've learned along the journey. Pack things in your suitcase on that journey that you're going to need. You're going to need to laugh. Laughter has to be in that suitcase because you can't take this stuff so seriously all the time. You got to laugh at yourself before the world laughs at you. Then when the world starts laughing at you, you've already had the biggest laugh. So it ain't even funny anymore, right? Yeah. The second thing I would say, you have to pack disappointment with you. I learned disappointment is my co-pilot. It's always the hell riding with you. Even when you try to put disappointment out of the car, it shows up in the back seat. And you say, get out of my car, disappointment. Disappointment said, I'm riding with you the next 15 miles. I'm just waiting for you to be disappointment. But you got to put disappointment in its place and have a perspective of what disappointment is there to do. Disappointment is there to distract you, to deter, to take you on a detour. And that's exactly what it's supposed to do, is to disappoint you. But that's all it is. It's a disappointment. Push it out of the car, because guess what? The next 5 miles is jumping back in the back seat again. So I've learned, pack the right things on your journey. Ask others what's in their suitcase. What did you pack? What did you tear? When you went down that road, what did you take? And use that. I've learned to take the experience of others and learn from it. Be educated along the journey. Because if we go the right road and we travel together, and you come out in the fork of the road and you say, hey, Phyllis, I'm here to help you on the next leg. I'm going to need to travel with you the next 15 miles. And I say, Donna, why? You see, that's what I'm talking about, that generation. And you go out on the road and you meet them and you say, hey, I'm going to travel with you the next 15 miles. And they say, but why? Because disappointment, the valley of disappointment is over there. And you're going to need women like me to get through that. And they said, what? They said, because see, when I went through the valley of disappointment, it took me 20 years to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And so now, but I'm going to, but with me riding with you, I'll be able to advise you, coach you, mentor you. And in your trip in the land of disappointment won't be that long. But now you're going to go through it. It's just how you go through it. You might breeze through it, but your GPS is going to take you there. You see, that's what I've learned.
Yeah. You know, you and I had the conversation about women coming together and supporting each other rather than feeling competitive with one another. And this journey that you're talking about and the advice that we need as we go through our life journey, being able to share that is really critical. Can you give me any insight on that, about how we come together as women? The women on this call are trying to share and are trying to support. That's why they're here.
Yeah. So you know what? This is what I say. Because I told you, I kind of gave you guys the framework in the beginning. I come from a family of 11, 7 sisters and four aunties that grew up in the same household. And remember, I'm at the bottom. So I got a lot of stuff to look at what I want to be and don't want to be, right?
Yeah.
But I learned sisterhood at a very young age. My mother used to say this, Donna. We would go for walks on Sunday. I never forget this. And this is the most powerful thing that could have ever happened to me in my life, was those walks with my sisters. I call them the walks with my sisters. We would walk and hold hands and talk and this. And my mother used to say, grab your sister's hand so she doesn't get lost or left behind. That's what she used to say. And that mentality never left me, is that you're not competing when you're walking together. Everybody's going to get there at the same time. Everybody's going to walk that same pace. But grab your sister's hand so she doesn't get lost. Even when you were one step above her, you go back and say, oh, come on, catch up. Don't get lost. Stay with me. I got you. I remember one time crossing the street, and I was afraid to cross the street because there was a lot of cars. And my mother turned around to my older sister. She says, grab her hand. You know she's afraid to cross the street. Don't you let her walk across the street by herself. And my sister gripped my hand. She gripped it so tight. And then my other sister grabbed the other hand, and they ran with me across the street. And then she said, and I never forget this. I was 7 years old, and my older sister turned to me and she said, I'll never let go of your hand. I'll never let go. You see, I think we let go of each other's hands too often because we chase the dream. We want to get ahead. We don't want to hold somebody's hand because I don't feel like it. I don't want to. Whatever your crap is that you're going through, turn around and hold her hand. Yes, I know you got a crappy day going, but grab her hand. She could get lost. She could die. She could burn, whatever. Hold her hand.
God, that's a great visual. That's a great visual. I love it. I love it.
That's my stuff. I love my sisters. To this day, I pick the phone up and I said, are you holding my hand? And she says, I'm holding your hand. We talk all the time, 3-4 times a day. And that's how I am with the women entrepreneurs in my life. I'll call them up out of the blue. I said, girl, I'm holding your hand. Do you feel me squeezing it? And they'll, and so that women need that. They need that nurturing. They need that, the feeling of belongingness. I never felt isolated from women. Never.
Mm-hmm.
never in my career, never as an entrepreneur, never, because I learned the power of sisterhood at a very young age.
Mm-hmm. That was
And
awesome.
yeah.
Good. Okay. All right. I want to give people a chance to ask some questions. Okay. So we've got a Q&A box. And the first question up here is, thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom today. You left me inspired to start with my own team and look for young people to carry the torch. You also mentioned being educated about the trip. Are there specific resources you would recommend to help further educate us in this time to walk with our coworkers, friends, and peers?
Yeah, I'm gonna plug this, but I want you guys to go to and I'll share it with Donna's Leader Pass. It's called Journey to Legacy. And Viola Davis and I filmed this in my home. We started a movement called Shoulder Up, and you can go to shoulderup.com and you can link to the 58-minute video. But we walk you through our own journey, and we talk about. There's one chapter in this is called labeling. Somebody's labeled you. You're labeling someone, and we start to label each other, and it just educates you. And when you sit back at this, you start to cry, you start to laugh, you start to get inspired, you start to think, wow, look at what these women have gone through this journey, because you actually feel like you went on a trip with us when this thing is over. Because hell, I felt like I went on a trip. Mm-hmm. And what it is, it's an education. It's educating you what the journey looks like. Because let me tell you something, Donna. I don't care who you are. As you walk through this journey, there's something about my story is going to resonate with you. And you're going to say, Phyllis, you too? Yesterday we had so many you too moments, did we not?
Yeah, we sure did.
And all I was doing was sharing my story with you. And you go, me too, me too. And then immediately what happened? The sisterhood began to come together. Yeah. And so I tell you, there are so many resources. Go to shoulderup.com, and I want to tell you that there are business organizations that that really mimic this model that I'm talking about, because this is a shoulder up model. It is who are you supporting, and what are you doing to support them, and have you shared your story, and then who's connected to your story. That's what the whole shoulder up model is. And it's like, and on the journey, what's in your suitcase that you can share with others to pack it in theirs? What's in your suitcase? I got some powerful stuff in my suitcase. Girl, if I unpack my suitcase in front of y'all now, y'all will be like, whoa.
You sure do. You sure do. Okay, more questions, guys. Ask your questions in the Q&A box. Okay, well, you go ahead and talk some more about shoulder up, stand up. I want you to talk about your mom and how you came up with that phrase.
Yeah, so I was, I was just having this conversation with my mom, and I was just asking her to tell me where in her journey in life of being, 89 years old, what she thought the difference is now versus then, and she talked about, she said that women have to, the reason there's such a movement right now, because people are not just, you can't just stand up. You have to speak, when you speak up, you got to stand up. And she said, how many people listen to most people who sit down, right? So she said, when you speak up, when you're speaking loud and you want to be heard, you stand up. And she said, remember, my mother used to always tell us this, Donna, stand up and get your voice heard. And so she'd tell all of us, in order for us to change in our community, you have to work together. That's the shoulder up part. So that's why our new theme is stand up, speak up, and shoulder up. You got to stand up first. Once you stand up, you speak up, and then you get the others that are standing with you to shoulder up.
God, I love that. I really love that. That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I think people might be confused about asking the questions here. Any more questions? You can put it in the chat box or the Q&A.
I'm getting people text me on my phone.
Are they really? Okay.
Yeah. Some of the questions, I'm like, maybe you're right. There's a confusion on where to.
How to do it.
So, here's just one little question I got.
Okay.
Someone is watching. She says, explain the journey model of taking a journey in the suitcase. That goes back to what I was saying about the suitcase. I was saying that as you have gone on a journey, and if you're an entrepreneur and let's say you've been in business 10 years, and think about the things that you've had to pack in your suitcase. And as I was using disappointment as something that you need to pack, because when you pack things, you're not shocked when it shows up because you put it in the suitcase to travel with it, right? So I'm traveling with disappointment because I know it's going to happen, but I don't want disappointment to drive my journey or be what dictates the journey. Disappointment is just there so that it keeps me grounded and know that it's going to happen, but it's not the end of the journey. It's just something going to travel with you. So be aware of it. It's a sense of awareness. And one of the other things that I talk about is I pack my joy. What drives me every day? What keeps me in the game? What says, Phyllis, get it up, get going, let's move, let's groove every day. You guys getting the low version of me today, right? Imagine what. And so my team knows I'll come in and I'm so fired up every day. They're like, man, how do you do this every day? It's a decision. It is strictly a decision because I travel with it every day. It's in my suitcase. And you know what? You have to sometimes go back to your suitcase and say, what's in it? You got 3 questions, I see.
And yes, we do. Okay, so you've been so positive, but would you mind sharing some things you notice white women doing, maybe even unintentionally, that aren't supportive of our sisters of color?
Yeah, this is funny. Listen, I got a girlfriend and she drives me up the absolute wall. She's like one of my best friends. She's a 35-year FBI agent, and we couldn't be. We're like this. People say we're the total opposite, but the best of friends. And we used to always say, she says, every time I would say something to her, she said, well, I don't agree with that. And I say, Lauren, I didn't ask you to agree. I'm sharing my opinion with you. And this is my feeling. And she said, and then after we'll have a 30-minute conversation about it. And then she said, wow, I'm so glad I listened to you. You know, but in the beginning, when our relationship was developing, she had one perspective, one way. And I always say, and she goes, well, I just don't understand why Black people can't. I don't understand why Black people don't. I don't understand. And I said, and you don't understand because you won't even listen. I'm not, you can't understand something till you first listen. You listen, and then you watch, and then you say, let me rewind that tape again. I see it now. You can listen the first time, but you got to see it. Yeah. And I'll share this one thing with you. I had another friend, and I said, you asked me what they do. One of them shared with me that she says she is colorblind. Did I tell you this yesterday?
You didn't, but that's a comment that's out there. Yeah, go ahead.
She said she's colorblind. I said, oh my God, did you know I was Black? She said, what? I said, I'm Black. Did you know it? Because you're colorblind. All this time you didn't even know I was Black? And she caught herself and she said, wow. Yeah. I said, you see, you don't think that people are listening. I said, when you say that, everybody sees color. I said, did you walk out of your neighborhood this morning and realize that everybody was from Iran? Everyone was, and she said, no. I said, then you're seeing something. And if you don't see color, then you're not around color. Because you can't tell me you don't see color. I said, you've never seen a Black person in this world. She said, yeah. I said, then you're not colorblind. You do see color. That's the first thing. Admit it. We all see it.
Yeah.
It's what you do with color. What do you do with color? How do you engage with color? How do you feel about color? These are questions you got to ask yourself. I'm not answering those questions for you. You have to.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. That's really helpful. All right. Next question. As a mother of 4 young adult daughters, I'm curious, what would you tell your younger self about owning your voice and your power and creating your life with confidence?
My gosh. Okay. You're going to love this one. Who asked that question?
That is Deborah Woods. Yeah.
Deborah, I love you. Man, that's a great question. Here's what I do every morning. I get up, and this is the honest God truth. Most people in my family tell you I'm a nutcase. I look in the mirror, and this is what I say to the mirror. Good morning, sunshine. Good morning, beautiful. And but guess who I'm talking to? My 9-year-old self. 9-year-old, at the age of 9, I was told what I couldn't be. I was told because of the color of my skin. I was talked about. I was told I was not this and I was not that, and grew up on the wrong side of the neighborhood. At 9 years old, I was devastated by a conversation that I had with 4 of my white girlfriends when I did a sleepover. You know, you're not going to go to college. You know, you're from the bad neighborhood. You know, and I thought they were my friends, and I go home and I'm devastated. And see, every morning I walk in and I look at that 9-year-old and I said, girl, did you think we would ever be here? Look at your bad self. I said, girl, look at what we get to go do today. We get to go lead a big company. Girl, did you ever think that you would be doing this today? Oh my God, girl, let's go. Let's go do this again. That's my 9-year-old saying, hey, we came a long way, didn't we, Phyllis? I bet
Awesome.
you that. And so that's my 9-year-old self. You better know who that self is that's got you to where you are today. Every one of us as women in particularly, we have something and it might be your 21-year-old self. It might be your 32-year-old self. Something has to remind you of where you are on your leg of the journey. My 9-year-old lives with me. She travels with me. Girl, she's with me. She does everything with me. And she's the one that's nudging me when I don't think I can do it. Girl, get up there on that stage and do your thing. That's why we got here. Don't you disappoint me. That's my 9-year-old. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we're running out of time. All right, one last question. Any advice for women who want to serve on corporate boards?
Yeah. Know what you're serving for and what you stand for. Mm-hmm. Because it's not just a matter of serving on a corporate board. I can't tell you, I did several interviews. I had an interview with the NFL, right, to serve on the NFL board. I was super excited about that board. But because of all of the you have to know where your principles and where there's an alignment with your core value system and principles. And be careful that you're not wanting something just to check the box. Because if you're a box checker, people will know. And for me, it is all about principle. You know what? I don't care how much money they're paying me. I don't care. And it goes back to what I said, life potential. I have the potential to do whatever I want, serve wherever I want, be what I want to be, and I get to drive that. And so if you want to get on a corporate board, make sure that it is in alignment. And then if you want to get on a corporate board, listen, hey, I call the NFL. Listen, I want to have a conversation with Roger Goodell. This is a true story. And they said, conversation? I said, yeah, I want to have a conversation with him because here's what I know that you don't have on your board. And I went through that entire process just to tell them no. Tell them no, because all I wanted to do was give them a sense of awareness.
Oh my gosh, and influence it. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, but guess what I did? I recommended another woman. I went through all of that just to recommend somebody else, and they brought her on the board.
Wow.
Strategy.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, you are amazing. We have run out of time. I thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. I'm sure everybody is as engaged as they could possibly be. Please write your comments in the chat box, guys. But thank you, Phyllis. You've been amazing. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Go ahead.
Listen, I want to say this. Hey, I want all of you to really think about your full life potential and how can you use your full life potential to make the greatest impact in a world that needs it. The world needs your full potential. So tap into it, beg for it, live it, and do it. And hopefully I'll see you as we're planting our flags at the top of the hill together.
Outstanding. And I'll take whatever you've got and get it out to everybody about Shoulder Up. Okay.
Okay.
Just to help you with that. All right, guys. All right. So thank you again to Phyllis. Please join us every Friday at 10 a.m. Central. Please sign up for a directory listing on pursepower.com if you don't already have one and you're a business owner or business leader. And then remember, Purse Power, we have it. Let's use it. Thank you, Phyllis. Okay.
You're welcome.
Bye, everybody.